Manhood, brought to you in part by Reboot Sports Drink.
Welcome to another conversation on manhood. Always a pleasure to be here, along with my colleagues, friends, fellow men, to discuss opinions, to enlighten if we can, to provoke thought, but always with the intent of being a better self. So today's topic: are you being authentic? Are you your authentic self? Are men authentic? Are men supposed to be authentic? What is your thoughts? Is it based on truth? But to discuss that, let's get right into it. Johanse Ayodike to my right, behavior change consultant. To his right, Brent Branker, social media influencer, food critic, friend. Niall McNish, provocateur, vibes god, influencer. I try to make sure it rings. You know what I mean? Like when people see you on the road, they go, "Hey,
vibes god,
boy, vibes
provocateur."
god."
Most people don't know what provocateur actually means, though.
But they will eventually.
Self-explanatory.
Yeah, correct. So, manhood. Again, are you being your authentic self?
Are you being a real man? And by real, is real authentic?
So when we go,
or real being traditional?
So authentic is many things. Are you being true to yourself? Are you being true to others? Are you all smoke and mirrors, cloak and dagger? Are you several different persons with several different people? How are you showing up? Like, do you care? Are you apathetic? There's so many, and again, there's no specificity to it.
All right. Let me see if I could bring some specificity. Specificity. Is it important as a man to be authentic? Let me start it. As a man, not just as a person. Okay. As a man, is it important to be authentic? And we could say it with a resounding. We could say it with a resounding yes. Well, we using gender difference first because we hear.
Right.
Okay. In manhood, we using man. So as a man, why is it important to be authentic? And I would say, yes, of course it is. And why is it important? Because let's start first with you alone. Outside of our family, you are a person, an individual. If you want to be able to lead yourself and be the person you want to be and live a fulfilling life, then being yourself is important, because even though sometimes who you are authentically may rub somebody the wrong way, or somebody may disagree with it, or it may cause a conflict. If you acquiesce to them or submit to them, then you wouldn't feel fulfilled. You'll be walking around just a shadow of yourself. So I really want to wear blue, but everybody don't like blue, so I will wear red instead. Now, according to everyone, I am cool, but according to me, I really don't like it. And I could spend so much time being cool or satisfying others that I no longer know who I am.
Right.
So this really sounding like it's an ego issue for men. The ego determines whether or not you're real or authentic, or you're being inauthentic, right? For men.
I find that sounds tiring.
Because you find it sounds what?
It sounds it'll tire you out eventually, because like he says, you're always trying to mask with what they want and what the ideal is.
Yeah, but isn't that what men do generally? Like when we broken on the inside, do we tell our girlfriends that we having problems?
No.
What is that? Is that being authentic or inauthentic?
No, it's being inauthentic. It is lying.
It's perceived ideal.
But as a man though, you don't want
talk about their problems.
You don't want your girl to shoulder those issues that you have, and hence why you're keeping it from her. Isn't that what a man's supposed to do in that situation?
So one of the things that I wanted to bring up, and of course I was chatting to Brent
before. Make sure it's on topic, yeah.
Before we start, yeah.
Right.
So before I was interrupted there, right? My partner. That we had this discussion before we started about, as we talk about authenticity and being within your authentic self. You just said there that men don't share their problems, right? And I think again that in itself, coming from men, is also stereotypical to also what women say with regards to an outlook of men. So like case in point, you being a food critic, Brent,
right.
You always hear people say the way to a man's heart is through his belly, right? And for me, I would say, well, that's not the way to my heart. I enjoy good food, but it's a stereotype.
Right.
Women, even other men, generalize with other men, and women, particularly two men, may have an understanding of that's what a man is, or if you're not doing that, you are less of a man, or that's not what a man does. And I wonder when we come back to that authenticity, just like we said, men don't share their problems. I talk to people. I don't have an issue if I have an issue in communicating it. Hence the show. We're on the show on a weekly basis, talking about issues and things that we face. So again, am I being less authentic? Is that being general?
Well, this is a very rare situation to see. We've seen podcasts before and different conversations, but we specifically talk about male issues. And to go back to, you said that do you actually talk to your girlfriend or wife? Which are you have a wife, right?
Which is different to
About
talking to
your
your boy.
problems?
Which is different to talking to your boys about it, huh? You know
Yeah.
that?
And you know, that again is a generalization,
That's the next
because
thing.
I would quicker, Brent, or guys, I would quicker speak to sometimes, and again, I mean, it's probably a bit early in the segment or the show to talk about these things, but I was discussing with another brethren the other day that I would love to have a closer relationship with my brother. But I find when the real issues come up, or real hard things like the passing of my father, or some issues that he may be going through now, I'm not connecting. I'm not there going, hey, brother, you know, I'm here for you. Let's talk about this. Almost like, you have an issue, let me handle our affairs, the bigger brother.
I was gonna ask that.
And just get it done. But I'm not connecting, I'm not embracing,
On
I'm
an
not sharing
emotional
a
level.
cry.
Why?
You know, and well,
That's the question.
That's
So
the
you
question.
don't know, as in when you reach, you want to in your heart, but when it time to execute, you're having difficulty.
Yeah, and I wonder why. Like, why am I not sharing with our brethren, like, hey, you know, I'm really going through this. Can I open up? It's not. It's like you might come by me, we might have a drink, we might have a sit down, and that somehow is helping the healing process. But I haven't ventilated, I haven't unzipped.
Yeah, actually, you haven't deep dived at
I
all.
haven't done anything. I'm still internalizing, but I know that you're there. It's almost like I'm not alone. But you know, they have that saying as well, you know, you feel alone in a room full of people. And I ask myself sometimes, why? But there are instances where I could probably share with another woman certain things. Dependent.
Okay, all right. So
Interesting.
I'll give it from a personal perspective, right?
Okay.
I would preach to men to make sure and open up, right? Make sure and speak, not to everybody, but someone you feel safe with. And if you don't feel safe, come to a professional like myself. But there are many instances where I going through something and I need to reach out to our brethren, and I find it difficult, and I have to coach myself to actually speak. And even while speaking to them and being open, I find myself feeling funny, like
You're
if
trying to break
something
it, yeah,
wrong now,
okay.
right?
Yeah.
And then he said, well, you answer, I hear for you could call me 10 times a day. And I'll say, okay. And I hang up the phone, and let's say an hour, I'm feeling to talk to him again. But then
But you don't call
he
him.
now tell me,
Yeah.
call him, you know, and I would do the same for Bridget, and really he could call me. But me now doing it. And when I analyze it, I realize one is programming, what I was told all the time and what I've seen around, that my brain got accustomed to and now trying to break out of. And then two, also ego, because what he might think I'm harassing him. Next thing, he pretend he really listening, but he not. All those things. And I would crown it off. So I have programming, I have ego, but also it came down to even my self-worth, because I didn't think I was worthy enough for somebody to even want to listen to me like that. Now, I would do it for them, and I think they worthy, but I
you
didn't
said-
think I was
You said
worthy.
something there, harassing, and I was with you up until I heard the harassing. Now that they may feel like, wait now, really, you know, I said, you know, like somebody says, come by me anytime, or feel free, you know.
I extended a courtesy.
Yeah, extending a courtesy is really it's being polite, right? But there are people, like you said, that genuinely will be there if you reach out to them. But for me, I wouldn't want calling that person. I am feeling worse, I think, sometimes in having that conversation. Depends on what the topic is.
You think
'Cause
you're bothering them?
in that embarrassment. So you're talking to someone, but you're like, am I bothering you? So you're not they don't feel that you're harassing them, but you feel to yourself that you're almost like, why am I whining? Why am I bitching? Why am I even in this state? How did I get here?
Why do I feel like this?
Why do I feel like this?
But that might be based on your expectation of why you're doing it in the first place. Are you expecting them to help you solve this problem? Or you
No,
just
but
need
why
or
you
you just need a
there?
shoulder. Well, exactly. Do you just need a shoulder for somebody to you letting out and you don't expect anything in return? And then you might overthink, like what he was saying, that you're actually not thinking of, wait, am I doing this? Am I doing that? Do I expect them? What do they think about me telling them this? You know? It's like, are you just purely say, hey, you know, we just go down real good. Hear this, now I need to get it off my mind.
Yeah.
You know?
And can you trust?
It's not pure enough like that. It can't just be pure like that.
But can you trust, Brent, that
Yeah.
you release, every brethren have a brethren.
Right.
And you now gone, you've now exhaled, you've now ventilated, and had that conversation, and then they go now to their next breath, and you're like, hey, well, hey, so now tell me X, Y, and Z. So is it all of those things that then make us, coming back to the topic, authentic? Because what I then put in front of you, I'm now putting up a facade, I'm now putting up a wall, I'm now pretending. All of these different things, which means whether consciously or subconsciously, I'm not being my authentic self. And we come back to the why.
Robert, you saying that helped me realize how deeply wounded as men we are.
For real, like in here in the conversation,
exceptional.
I'm like, yo,
you saying that I feeling sad and okay.
we really,
Because
yeah,
because that means if so much going on, and I'm not saying this happened with every man all the time, but you've experienced it, I've experienced it. I don't know if Brent you've experienced
But
it.
I have.
Sure, for
Right.
Sure, for sure.
So if four of us, that means a lot of us men experiencing it, and it means that we put ourselves first because it's our own thoughts overthinking. We put ourselves in a cage, right? And then also, let's say, influences from society and programming also put us in a cage. So we have an external cage and an internal cage. So one, again, highlighting how precious it is that we even having something like this. Because me, from every episode I've been here at Manhood, it has helped me. It's like practice speaking up a little more, being more authentic self. And I really hope that those who viewing also and listening, that even if it's 0.5% at a time, you'll be able to be more of your authentic self. Because the importance of that is you worthy, you worthy, and I worthy, but sometimes we don't even believe it. So just being yourself, because we thinking, if I tell my girl my problem, she might use it against me. She might think I'm weak. She might, all them thoughts we thinking versus just, baby, I'm sad. Baby, I'm angry. Now, how she reacted, you can't predict that. But if she reacts in a way that is unsafe for you, then that's information to know maybe she's not the one. But we can't keep hiding and strategizing and trying to figure out, because then, one, as you're saying before, it will be tiring.
Yeah, that's a heavy burden for you to keep
it
going.
is.
The other thing that you get, guys, is when you communicate, and again, this all ties into authenticity. We promise it'll all come together. That when you communicate with someone, two things most of the time happen because they themselves aren't being their authentic self to you. They're putting a figure, they're putting a position, but that's not necessarily if you could really read their mind. So two things are coming, either verbally, someone says, well, I'm feeling real sick, boy. So most of the time you get a response, but I'm real sick too, I feel like I get any fever myself, I get a headache, and you realize that they've totally
disregarded what you said.
The fact that nobody's saying that they're not a nurse or a doctor, but my point is at least the acknowledgement of, hey, this person was the first to communicate this. Let me acknowledge it. Let me show some sort of empathy, whatever the subject may be, right? And then let's move for here and then hold back. Maybe, they say, talk and repeat yourself, listen and learn something, right? And so when you're having that conversation with someone, sometimes you learn more by listening. Because by talking, you already know what you're speaking about. And so there's that aspect of it when you're sharing with someone. And the other aspect is while you're sharing, they may not say anything, but what they're doing is they're saying, boy, real glad that's not me, boy. So in other words, subconsciously, they're not really connected to what you're saying. They're connected to the fact that, hey, better you than me. And therefore, what their mannerisms and again, as I said that word there, mannerisms, I'm sure there's some connection as to why they call that. But that with that being said, that are they really being their authentic self when they're even listening to you, so consciously
Yes.
or subconsciously?
Yes, they be no authentic self, because the fact is they're authentically saying, "I glad it's not me." Now, you raising that, Robert, is really important.
That's a good point, yeah.
Because the truth is we could only be ourselves. We always trying all of these strategies. Just be yourself. When you be yourself, someone else reacts. So even if they react in that way, well, they make themselves the center of it. So you say you're sick, and they say, well, I was sick yesterday and I'm more sick. That is information to you that maybe that's the wrong person to talk to. Because, and my wife had introduced us to this book.
But Johan say, before you say talk about the book, it might be that at that point, you have come to the point that, hey, I really need to purge, I really need to exhale. And that's the person you decide to do it with. And then you have to realize now that that person is not the person to have that conversation with, and you might go back in a hole.
Right. So that's exactly what I was going to say. She had introduced me to this book, and the book talk about vulnerability. And vulnerability is I would say, is a risk, because when you're vulnerable, you don't know how the person reacts. And I think you had highlighted, Brent, when you're saying what is the expectation of the person. Now, the thing is, we should not that we can't, because we do, but we should not have expectations of how somebody should respond. Versus, this is just me. Let me see how they respond, so I know if this is a safe space. So vulnerability is like investing, a gamble.
Yeah.
And I guess life is a gamble, because you being yourself, you don't know how people react in general. So what I'm saying is, yes, be your authentic self, but being your authentic self is a gamble. So you shouldn't have any expectations. And with that, we expect a break now.
I was just going to say,
we go into the
speaking
break.
about books,
Right.
we're not closing the chapter, we just put in our bookmark.
Right.
Right?
And we coming back after the break. Welcome back to Manhood. We're discussing vulnerability, and vulnerability as it relates to being a man. And before the break, I was making a point that sometimes vulnerability, at least most of the times actually, vulnerability is a risk, is an investment, because when you be vulnerable with someone, whether it is male or female, there's a possibility that they may not react in the way you may want them to. So you're saying you should not have expectations. Now, Brent, in your experience, in your field, tell me about the difference that you've noticed between men and women in terms of being the authentic self and being, or even being vulnerable.
Well, boy, I mean, first of all, everybody knows social media is like, am I watching for entertainment? Is this real? Is it not? Right?
Facts.
So even when you start off the bat there, but I have found that mostly, and I mean, if you just look at you can look at information first, not like me just saying it, but like
Data.
the stats, the data, right? Here in Trinidad, not globally, you find a lot more men doing a lot more with their platforms. They're out there more viral, all these different things, right? And you're always asking like, well, okay, cool, and they have a female version of this. And not that they're copying what you're doing or whatever, but everybody have their genre and whatnot. And one thing has always struck me in just looking at the actual like
Data.
the videos and pictures and all these different things is staging and stylizing. Women always have I need to look this way, I need to sound this way, I need to be among my peers that I have the best this, so I'm sounding the best way. And men, historically and currently, I should say, are always like, well, I just out there. I'm just going to put myself out there. And that's studying what color jacket I wear, and I'm studying if I made up my hair, I get up in the morning, I'm looking rough. Let me just do this video, you know? You don't always, I mean, to a degree, you might say, well, okay, I'll neaten up myself a little bit, but you're not going as far as a woman would.
Right.
And that might leak into their storyline. That might leak into the content. And I don't know if it is just that, or if that is part of it. But
So women...
you just being, like you said, you being yourself, the guy, just, yeah, fellas, well, this is me, and this is what I'm going to do today, and thing, versus, I'm saying, their version of it. Like, it must look ideal. It must look perfect, you know?
Right.
And you don't know They have people who will follow them, but it's for what? Or listen to them, but it's for what? Is it for the content itself, or is it for what they portray
Okay.
versus the men?
So let me just see if I can just recap that. So based on what you're saying is that the data shows that male content, specifically for influencers in Trinidad,
Content that males make, not necessarily male content.
Correct.
okay,
yeah,
content
male
that
content,
males
yeah.
make. Thank you for that.
Produced,
and,
yeah.
I'll even make it even smaller, specifically to the food industry,
Even specifically to the
right?
food.
The content that males make in the food space do well or trend better than what the women do in the same field. Is that
Yeah.
an accurate statement?
Yes, and there are some examples where you will have like one-off videos. Now, when I say talk about content creation, I talk about people who do this all the time. Because like we say, like on TikTok, a girl and her girlfriends might go out and they talk about food they had somewhere, and the video does well. Ask them to do that over and over and over again. No, the video might not do great. It was specific to that one time that they went somewhere, and everybody say, "Oh my God, this place is horrible," etc. There's a certain amount of specificity with the content that makes it go.
Okay.
So
But
is it,
like
is it
asking
that-
somebody to do it over and over and over and over, it's like they're gonna start, and I'm sure this will happen. They will start to say, "Well, oh, I need to perfect this. I need to make this better. I need to try it a little too hard." I think.
So is it that you're saying that, because there's always bringing it back to food, they say some of the best chefs in the world are males.
I've heard that
Right?
before.
And well, if you think of, you talk about Wolfgang Puck.
No, but is it going to be just male names that you're thinking of?
No, but I'm
Or-
just saying that. But generally,
And
when
then
you
why-
look at
and then why is
Michelin
it
chefs-
hard
Even
to
if you
remember
think
any
about
female
it,
names?
you would remember.
Think about that.
Hold on.
Because even the guy with the salt and all
Exactly.
those with
Yeah.
food is men, I think,
Solvay and things like that.
not
But
women.
Michelin chefs, generally, right? The majority of the not just the popular names, but chefs, the best chefs. And again, this is not very specific. That chefs, males are the best chefs, right?
a very,
Right?
very, very strong
no, I'm
statement
saying
you're
to you
making.
that recognized in
Just
terms of
listening.
popularity, we're not saying that they are, right? Because most of the chefs I know are female and they're excellent, right?
Right.
So Abigail, so therefore I'm saying to you that is it that trying to kind of
Bring it back.
Bring
I
myself
wonder-
up. No, bring myself out to the
Out
world.
to- yeah,
because I
'cause
don't.
you-
Because I want to be very clear. This is not.
But once again,
this-
it's based on data, so it's what is
That's
out there
what
and
I'm
what is
saying.
It's not
available.
an opinion.
It's not my
an
opinion.
It's what is available to you.
Correct.
And you could only act on that.
Correct. So is it that, based on that the TikToks, the Instagrams, those things that come out, is it that women are playing it too safe, or is it that it's just that males in the environment, so for whether it's women or men, gender gravitates to the male videos, or is it because you think they're playing too safe? I just want to make sure that we clarify what we're saying as with
Yeah,
regards to
what do
in
you,
terms of your
it's-
opinion.
and it's like we didn't decide this. The people decide these
Right.
things as anything. So like, for instance, I've always been amazed ever since I started this, and to this day, it hasn't changed by much. Majority of my following is female. And there's a small amount of male following. And I say like 2/3 to 1/3.
Right.
You understand?
Real girl.
Yeah. So
But,
I
but,
just,
but,
on
they
this-
love food.
Yeah, correct.
And there's a lot of people who you'll talk to and like, yeah, my boyfriend is real cook. This, my husband is real cook. I myself, I could just cook to save my life, but I can't put down
Yeah.
a proper meal. My wife is the one who does all the proper cooking at home. And that's how I appreciate taste. Because I know what I'm looking for. and
That's
what
why
it
you
should
have a
taste.
hungry belly.
You understand?
You see, so
So-
I hear in our pattern. I
Yeah.
hear in our pattern, which is because I'm not too familiar with your content, but tell me, is it that you are the person tasting the food?
Correct.
Right. What even me thinking when when you were speaking, Robert, if I was to look at a channel that's speaking about taste, I want to see a man tasting.
Why?
So that's what I was thinking
right,
about.
let me hear.
Because when a man eating food, something about I have no science for this, right? Something about it seems more real than a
the box?
woman eating.
You
No. I
don't
tell
need
that.
the- okay.
I
Use
go in.
an
This is my
expression.
no. This is my opinion. I really okay with saying my opinion here, right? Something about eating the man eating the food seems more authentic to me. A woman a little more coordinated, because I thinking about female channels where I've seen women eating and tasting, right? I listen less about the taste versus if they talk about the aesthetic. So if they say, you know, there's a nice ambience, whatever, I want to hear that from a woman. Because in my, let's say it could be my programming or my stereotypical
I was just going
brain,
to think of the programming.
You
and
are
the-
you are the better judge for
yeah,
that.
so
stereotypes of women
I
and
hear any
kitchen,
woman
yeah.
about the aesthetics. So if you say we find a new spot in Trinidad, it's real secluded, it's real nice ambience, I listening to a woman. But then when a man say, the food, that tastes good thing, they think I listening to him now about that. So this is my own opinion. But if we go with stats, because the stats is even women want to see men taste the food.
If you're going with that.
Right, if you're going with the
we have to
stats.
assume that's why, yes.
Right? And let's go back with the authenticity part of it, right? I think, not know for sure, that when a man eating food, he's be honest. Because I'm going to say food tastes important to a man, but I would assume it's important to a woman too. So that's
I'm
not
wondering
a specific thing.
the stereotype comes in here, or programming. You know, when we think about it, you know, there was all, and it's an unfair statement, but it's something that we have seen, you know, in movies, in TV, brought up, you know, a woman, you know, it's a woman who's cooking, right? And therefore, if you're thinking that, okay, well, a man sitting down, the man is being served.
He's the one who tasted.
He's the one that's tasting. And also, you know, again, as we mentioned about being unafraid to really express yourself. You know, you'll see a man going, oh my God, this is great, and gravy falling. You're not really going to see a woman who's...
They're
Gravy
particular
face.
They're
about it.
particular, you know, with all the juicy ribs and all
So-
that falling.
So as the provocateur,
Right.
not a culture,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, go
Right.
Let's get into some brass tacks here. Is it being said that based on the data, right, women are not being as authentic to themselves that men usually are, especially in social media, and hence that authenticity is being felt or seen by the larger demographic. And and in other words, people not responding to inauthentic stuff.
I would
Wait,
say so.
let me
I would say
add
so.
to that for conversation. We are responsible for that, as in men and also women, because you always hear a woman say, you could go out in that pair of jeans or that t-shirt to 3 or 4 parties. If that woman goes in the same outfit to 3 or 4 parties, males are probably less likely to go, hey, wait, she wearing the same thing.
Yeah.
It's the women that are going to say, she wearing that same thing again, ma'am, she don't bathe, or she wash the thing, or she only have... But again, and I think all of that in all aspects are as a result of why they are programmed to now play it safe in these environments, because they're more open to scrutiny, those levels
By
of
each other.
scrutiny
By each other.
by each other.
It's funny, yeah.
And by doing that, that woman may also relate to their man or in their environment and say, yes, so and so wear the same dress again, or didn't she wear this? Because they're looking now for...
So you're saying that? So
But
you're
hold on
saying
now,
that?
before I continue
Yeah,
off now,
go ahead,
it's funny you said that. And now, once again, too, I was going to say earlier that I have that bad thing where I listen to respond like a lot of people, but
Right.
I really listen to what you say. And before I came here, my wife is always, and I'm not afraid to say it, help me pick out my clothes. Because I'd be like, that good. And she'd be like, nah, let me change your pants, or something like that. So she, come on, this morning, I had that hang up there, so I'm going to iron it. She's like, hold on, you wore that red polo on TV before? And I said, well, let me start with when last I was on TV. It's been a while. I don't think we had to worry about that. She's like, all right,
the
cool.
fact that she even monitored that, right?
Because they monitor it. We not studying it so much. I wear the same black pants probably to every single time I come in garden, who knows?
Right.
And a different polo, and that I cool with that. I'm not studying that. In my head, I already know cameras mostly here. Cameras mostly here, you know, all these different things. But that's like a peripheral. You're not putting too much thought into it.
Yeah. I wore this polo and this
No,
pair of
but-
jeans in
but-
the last episode, so
Right.
it really...
But
you
not
know,
putting too
wash,
much.
wash.
But not putting too much thought into it. Is that what you think?
Because
is
you're thinking
what
of the wrong
leading-
thing. That's the
is
thing.
what leading to the authenticity
But-
for you?
Right, it is, because when I come in here, again, not only expectations, but what is the idea of what I come in here to talk about? And I come in here to worry about how I was looking. I need to look neat, presentable, don't have holes in your jersey, because that's just social norms. No,
I'm kidding,
what I
I'm
mean?
kidding,
That's
I'm
your jacket.
Yeah, I'm kidding.
Not your shit. Let me see the shirts, it might have holes in it. But to me, that's the idea. The idea of being authentic when I came here is to talk about manhood and man-related issues.
Render not your garments.
Not guys, when I come here to talk about this, you must look like this also when you are talking about these
So,
things.
so can we easily go into, as men, we identify that there's a male privilege that we have, that we probably unaware of?
Yes, now you would
No,
know.
no.
Before we get into that,
No.
we have a female, a women's. Sorry, I apologize. A women's talk show called Our View, and the difference in the preparation the women make to come on the show and how they look is totally different when we come and we sit down here. I don't get any guests asking, "What's your dress code?" Right? They just, hey, listen, I come in as I am. You know what I mean? Like, nobody's, and again, we come down to,
But you see, listen, that's a good thing. Listen,
He buzzing now. I don't know. I feel it. I waiting to hear it. Yeah.
Listen, the truth is the truth. Men and women are different. And I think we should appreciate it. Sometimes we men want women to think like us and women want men to think like them.
Yeah.
Versus, let me just be authentic self now. Let me just be our authentic self. You want to come in your red polo because you're comfortable in that every time? Or you like this polo, so you buy a black, you buy a red.
I just like
buy a
polos.
orange. If you understand what I'm saying.
Agreed.
You just come with that because to you, let's say the look is less important than what you're coming to see in this moment. But for women, it could be that the look is as important. And nothing wrong with that, because if that's the nature of women, I like to look at women. Women look good, right? That's different. They could be more aesthetic creatures. If men, we are different. It's just that's the difference. Let's not try to be who we not versus being who we are. I mean, and that just to cap it
that
off.
sound like closing nuggets there, boy.
Nah, we are more nuggets. We go into the break just now, but we are more nuggets.
You bring it back.
Right? And just to cap it off, you used the word privilege before, and I'll say no to that.
Yeah, why?
I don't really like the word privilege versus I now forget the word. Anyway,
That's okay.
let's call it
But I wanna know how you're gonna argue
double
that.
standard or just difference. Is that men could wear the same thing more than once and nobody bat eye. That is
Right.
just, it's not a privilege, it's just how it is with men.
That's a privilege,
Why use it privilege?
because the alternatives that we don't have to wear the same thing every time.
We need. I want to jump there because we need to go to a break, but we also have to take into consideration that it also depends on your circles, because I also know certain circles you wear the same thing among men. If you wear that several times, men will take note, because there are men who will want to wear jackets and so on. But we had to take a break.
Yeah.
Got to take a break.
Yeah.
And when we coming back, remember, guys, the topic is on authenticity. So we talk about vulnerability, we talk about a couple things, but we putting it all into context there, authenticity. We'll be back.
All right, welcome back to our episode of Manhood today. But I here with my peers, and you know how these things go off the break. You just have all like information flying.
Spicy.
And, yeah, spicy. And what I want to bring it back to, kind of like what we were talking about, the authenticity factor of things, of being yourself, you know, showing up and just being yourself. We were having a conversation there, Niall, about privilege versus male privilege. The same thing with the outfits and who caring less and if that bothers you or not. But you were saying something about it being a male privilege.
Yeah, so what I was getting to, or what I was trying to allude to, was we as men have a privilege that is unseen and unfelt by society, where we tend to forget that we could do a lot of things that women can't. No. And case in point, like I could wear the same shirt and jeans
No,
every
you're
day.
saying can't. A woman could do it, but just it will be viewed differently. So that's what I'm
Right.
saying, a privilege.
Correct.
You see how you say could and can't? A privilege is when you literally can't do it. But it's not that they can't. There are things, the only thing that women and men can't do is, I don't know, make a child. If you understand what I'm saying, be pregnant. A privilege in that sense is a misconstrue of the word, is that it is viewed differently, which I agree. So therefore, if a woman, if I walk in with a woman and she holding all the groceries, somebody look at me like, wham to you and say, why you not helping, and look at me as the bad guy. So, but it's not to say she can't hold the groceries, so she have the ability to. So it's not a privilege versus something else. If you understand what I'm saying.
So let me clarify, because I again, for the audience purposes and viewers and listeners, we're saying male privilege and privilege being two different things. One can be male privilege when you hear it in any context, and I'm open to discussion, in any context will always be a negative connotation, right? Privilege is not always negative, because if I say I am privileged to be here on this set, so that's not a negative.
Right.
You know, I have the privilege of doing X, Y, and Z, right? That's not necessarily negative, right? But if you say, well, he is privileged, and the way that you may communicate it, you might be communicating a negative meaning that he's getting away with things, or he born with a gold spoon in his mouth. Again, it depends on the way that you say it, where male privilege is always negative. And to Niall's point about clothes that you wear, it's not that women can't do it. It's that the perception is ingrained into us. We are programmed to think a particular way, that if they do said task, if they do said action, it will be felt, determined, or perceived to in a particular way. So it is a male privilege. Being negative is that we're not subjected to that level of scrutiny of
by our peers.
By our peers.
Peers, not peers. I would say by women. This is not
By
a man
women.
thing.
Yeah.
Because if I see a woman in a dress and I like it, wear it again. Because I want to see it again. If you understand what I'm saying, that's not a man thing, that's a woman thing. So even using that word privilege, and he said we don't share that view as men and women, And we're going
It's
back.
still in the context of male
Exactly, yeah.
privilege, though.
Yeah.
Whether it's a women's outlook on their own peers, it is still considered male privilege. So
Listen.
male privilege could
Listen, we could argue semantics. It is not a privilege. Privilege in its sense of the word, that is not correct, because a privilege means that she can't do it, but she could just be viewed differently.
No, your answer.
So therefore, it's not a privilege.
Because what I'm saying to you is male privilege, guys. Remember, these are new phrases. So like masculine energy, toxic masculinity. Male privilege is just another one that's added to the list, right? So we're not looking at dictionary meaning here. We're looking at societal norms and understandings
What's the other
of
thing?
what
Is
is
alpha
considered
male? What's the
male.
other one?
Okay.
Beta, sigma.
Sigma male and all these different things.
All right.
These are
Alpha, yeah.
all new nuances to what you knew back in the day that was just strict. This is the dictionary and this is what it is.
Great. So I love that you bring that up, right? Because if it's a new meaning, therefore we don't have a fixed meaning for it. The meaning of it could kind of go with the
in flux,
tide,
yeah.
right? Which, of course, let me tie that back into authenticity. So if I have to try to friggin' figure out what mean by this, and what Niall mean by this, and what Brent mean by this,
Yeah.
then how the if I want to be meaner, if you understand what I'm saying, where I'm coming from, how the then if I'm trying to fit into a paradigm of a society, then I'll get up, because I don't know how to be. If you understand what I'm saying. Because if I have to fit into your mold, or if I go in Arima it different, if I go in Port of Spain it different. And that's why I'm glad we're talking about it.
But
because
that's the reality.
Yeah.
because
that's the reality of what we're facing all the
men,
time.
just decide who you are. It have real people who wouldn't like it, people who think it privileged, people who think it not privileged, people who think something wrong with it, people who think nothing wrong with it. And that's why when you're saying that when certain men do content, you feel it more, because a lot of time I just making something, I like how it tastes, and I making it. And even though sometimes you may not agree with it, people are so starved for authenticity now, that just seeing somebody authentic, that is what is getting views, Right?
Yeah,
And if you go even with women who not trying hard or trying anything, they will get the views. And sometimes it's Steve the head of the woman who trying to be objectively beautiful.
It happens. Yeah.
Exactly. So there's a wonderful conversation.
You wanna hear a twist on that though?
Tell me.
Go ahead.
Here's the twist, because once again, expectations, right? Programming. The funny thing is, like with my wife now and I, there's like almost like 3 subtopics I'm gonna talk about here. Videos when I kind of started to diversify the content before the baby reach and everything, people preferred when she was in the videos with me versus
Okay.
me doing it by myself.
Okay.
They started to like to see that. she now is somebody who's very. It's funny. So she'll talk about the clothing, but in the same breath, she's like, this thing have to look real. So like you're cooking in a kitchen. The kitchen is supposed to look like it never get used before. So you don't just have like the cutting board here. You should have some ends aside and the bottles of sauce using in the background, and it could have drips on it while you're wiping the label for. That's how normal people think in the kitchen, right?
Polished
So-
tables, I mean, that's not
Right. So
reality.
on the flip side, she's all for that. She's all for like, I will be trying to be specific about like, something to do with the flavor. And she now not studying when she bites into this burger or whatever it is that, wow, like the reaction she should get. She's not thinking about it too much. So from the foodie side, we work very good in that respect. But they still have the underlying differences with the woman and man where I'm not studying the clothes. She'll be like, I'm not looking so hot today. I ain't so sure I want to be in this video. It'll happen. It happens.
Right.
But that goes back to that whole thing about majority of, and data-wise, is it for everybody, man versus woman, in terms of how you think you appear when you show up, and what's the intention? What's the intention of you showing up a particular way, or even worrying about how you present yourself in order to bring whatever information or value, which you were talking about earlier, the value that you bring into this space, into a conversation, to an event, anything.
You see what you just said there? That word, intention. Because that intention, whether subconscious or conscious, is what determines those levels of authenticity. Even though, I mean, we always say, there's always this thing about, it's not a full lie. There's levels of lie.
That's nonsense.
Which is nonsense, because as long as you're not telling the whole truth, it's a lie. Right? And therefore, it's either you're authentic or you're not. There's no levels of authenticity. But with intention, I'm saying, are we then saying, guys, that you mentioned just now about the trend right now is people that are being authentic, who don't care about whether they have a six-pack, belly out, how they look. Is it then that in coming across as he don't care, that's his authentic self, that you can go now from one extreme to the other? So that in itself, that you reached a point that that's authentic, but now you're going more to to the other side. You're trying so hard to come across as that.
As what?
That I
As
don't
real.
care, and real, that not even real.
But
this
funny-
person
That
you-
exists also, huh?
This is what I'm
That
saying.
highly exists also
This is
too,
what
huh?
I'm saying.
No, but what you just said though, you said two things that contradicted, right? You said that it's either you're authentic or you're not.
Right.
I don't believe in that. I think that everything's a scale, because and then the second thing you did was you start off at real, and then you work towards, at some point in time you become not real. That is a scale. So
Right.
there is a
So help
possibility.
me understand where you say I contradicted myself, because you realize I touched
So in other
point.
words, to me, authenticity,
Right.
being real or authentic is a skill. I could have intentions of being real, but as of right now, I can be viewed as not being authentic to myself, but I am working towards it. So am I less authentic than I was yesterday? Yes. But am I authentic person totally today? No. So that's what I meant by
So then
the
you're not
skill.
authentic.
But I am.
Whether you're closer to becoming authentic or not, right?
But then,
If-
But
if-
nobody will be 100%.
this is my point.
And it's the important.
Why?
And once again, it comes back to the importance of what is viewed important with the intentions of this being authentic. Is
Yeah,
it
but
the,
Brent,
is
wait,
the
I want to
information?
stop you there.
Is the
I want to
information
stop
that
you
we're
because I
talking
want to
about,
come
or
back
is
to
how
this
we are
point.
perceived?
What we're talking about here in authenticity, right? If I'm saying something to you, right, and I can say what I'm saying right now is authentic, or it's as authentic as I can be about this particular thing, but to be described as authentic,
Right.
you won't be if you're still trying. If you're like self-actualization, if you're still trying to get there, then you're not authentic. What you can, the action, the various steps, the various phases can be authentic, but not you as
Well,
in-
I-
as-
then
as-
I
but,
can
but
agree
as
to
your
that.
auntie had
I
said,
can
that
agree
is
to
you.
that.
Even if you're at 75% authenticity, that is
You're
you.
still authentic.
well,
And
if
in
you
your,
want to be
in
that's
your,
semantics.
in your
Yeah,
perception,
yeah.
It's
No, I
semantics
think
at that
no, I
point.
think that's semantics,
Yeah.
because it's like, okay, if I working towards being fit or lean. Let's say medically or scientifically, what is described as lean, right? Because there's a body fat ratio to it. Until I reach there, I'm not. If you understand what I'm saying, it's not that I kind of lean,
A kind of fit,
or kind of fit. It's either a fit or not fit. Just like being fat, right?
What?
Okay,
You
so
cannot
medically,
say that.
medically, let's just say if you have a certain body percent fat ratio,
Right.
that's
A
the
goal-
number, right?
a goal that you want to
no.
accomplish.
I go in based on, let's say, a
Science.
science.
Standard.
If I just using a number, 10% body fat mean you're fit, all right? If I'm at
That's the standard
if
now.
I'm at
That's the standard.
11%
Okay.
body
As
fat,
example.
I'm not fit. If you understand what I'm saying,
Okay,
it's
I
either
see-
I am
I
or I
see-
aren't.
So in
I see
other
the
words, you
argument.
don't go around portraying I am fit.
Right,
That's
because
what you're
I'm,
trying to say.
because
That's it.
I'm not that.
There's no shades of grey,
So with
black
the
or white.
authenticity now, right? If right now I'm having an honest conversation, I'm saying exactly what I want to say. I am being authentic, right? It's not degrees to be authentic or not.
You could say
there.
exactly what you're saying to me, right? And we having a nice friendly conversation, but you could hate my guts. You
Well,
could
then he's not
hate
being
my
authentic.
guts, but he's speaking the truth.
No, but he's
the
authentic about what
statement-
he's portraying. Once
This
again,
is what I'm saying to you about moments. What he's saying,
What he's saying has nothing
is
to do with
being
whether you like it or not.
authentic.
If I
like
That
it or
is
not.
not
That's all.
authentic.
Well, then I
yeah,
agree.
Right, so here what Brent saying.
that's
Brent
a
saying is
spectrum.
But no,
Yeah.
it's this context now, not spectrum. It's context because let's just say I hate you, right? Well, we talked about intention before. So my intention is to come here and have a successful show. That's my intention,
Right.
So let's just say, and I'll use an example that I don't like you, that I hate you, but that doesn't mean if my intent is to come here and have a successful show, right, and speak my truth, it doesn't mean that I'm being inauthentic.
Well, you can be speaking to me friendly.
No, but
You're
his
being-
feelings
you're
towards
being-
you doesn't preempt what he's trying to tell you.
Fine, but he's still speaking to me in
I
a
need to be
space
authentic and
of
say
friendly.
that we come into our close.
Yeah.
And
It's
again,
reaching a-
we all, yeah, there's always really, really good conversation, but I want to make sure that what we're doing in our closing is not rushing it through at that point.
Gotcha.
And that I give you guys and you have the opportunity to our viewers and listeners to be in that authentic space in delivering what you've gathered, be it from this conversation or in general. I sit here in this chair adjusting myself on a regular basis, concerned about, hey, am I looking? Is my stomach looking? Is the shirt? Is all these different things? And I sit here even in the conversation asking myself, am I being my authentic self? You know, what is that authentic self? Am I, trying to be somebody I am not? Or am I, as you just said, am I aspiring to be someone, but right now I'm not, or I don't know how to get there, or I don't even know if I reach there, do I want to be that person by that particular time? Who is Robert Dumas?
That's a good question.
And in putting that information, what do you mean? Like, who is Robert Dumas? Or
Yeah,
just in
all
general,
men,
in
all
life,
men
or-
should ask who are you?
Who am I? And even at my age, Brent, Johanse, Niall, I am still asking that. Who am I? Who am I really that person? I had a quick conversation with someone yesterday with regards to my love, and I think it was Johanse, where we were talking about when I said I like helping people. But even in that, this is not not modesty or humility. I was asking myself, and I'm having a conversation with Johanse as to if I'm feeling good about it, and the person is getting assistance and help, is there anything wrong in that?
No.
But am I being authentic? Like, what is the deeper reason behind? And I was battling with that, and we were having a conversation. What is my authentic self? Am I being disingenuous? What is it? And again, that's a full-on conversation, openness. But I just want to make sure that if we're being authentic here, and viewers and listeners are taking the time to hear us out here today, let's be real. Let's be real, and that's that in a sense, without putting it, buttering up in a nice particular way, or putting a bow on it, or putting it in a nice box, is my closing. To say that I myself right now still don't know who I am, and I'd like to think that there are moments of authenticity. This show, I try to be as authentic as I can.
Right.
I mean, I might watch how I shave and the beard and things like that, but what comes out is what is going through my mind at that point, and I'm being real to the show.
All right. a good gauge for me, how I test my authenticity now is if I'm about to do something and I'm thinking, I wonder what somebody would think, and not being authentic. Because now I'm factoring in what somebody thinks, whoever it is, whether it is a random person on the street or my parents or somebody close to me. If I'm thinking about what they would think, I realize I'm not being authentic. Because the truth is, and this I know is the truth, even though Robert say find in yourself, right? The truth is we all know what we want to know. We all know what we like from what we don't like. In a split second, you bring pizza and roti. I just gave an example. You know exactly what you want in that moment.
Right.
The phone ring, you see the person name, you know exactly whether you want to speak to them or not.
Yeah.
We all know what we want. We all know who we are. But then we factor in things like other people's opinion, society, all those things. And that's where we compromise and we betray who we authentically are. So in my closing is to use my gauge. If you want to do something and you start thinking about what would people think, then maybe you're not being authentic in that moment. Brent.
Well, to go along with that, I have to say, it's that this whole overthinking and whether or not, first of all, is you have to figure out who you are, and you're worrying about what other people think, like you say, society, your peers, etc. And I'd like to think that anything that you do, whether it's like what I do, it's what you do, anything that you do, that you're trying to be real and whatever you understand that to be. And if it is that you're afraid that people perceive you, whether it's good or bad, then once again, you start filtering yourself and you're filtering all your actions. And the idea is to have no filter, right? You have etiquette.
That is not utopia, eh?
Yeah.
That is what it should be.
But you have etiquette and you have courtesy. That's just normal, standard things across the board. But it is that, like what I was saying for the whole show there, forgetting all the peripherals is, are you being real in what you're talking about, what you absorbing, and what you're trying to do in anything that you're trying to accomplish, what you're trying to do. You don't worry about the filter. Just study how I could do what I'm doing the best that I can, and this is the best me that I could give you, and I shouldn't have to think about that when I go home. Right?
I like that.
I like
No filter. Be the best me. Well, in closing, I feel like everybody kind of gave like some ideas, but happy I get to go last because I get to say and reminding people out there, at least in my opinion, that being authentic is a spectrum. Today, I might be more authentic than I was yesterday. And the day after, I might be less authentic just based on how I feel. However, if it is, and I agree with everyone, where to be fully authentic, you have to understand yourself. And to do that, I believe that you have to talk to people. Counterintuitively, you have to actually express yourself to really understand yourself, because a lot of the time all we have are a set of thoughts in our mind, but it's not actually a concise, cohesive amalgamation of this is who I am. You have to speak. So just very quickly, guys, speak to your loved ones. Speak to your brethren. It feels weird. It's going to feel awkward. Speak to a therapist, most importantly. I feel that's something that men don't ever consider. And I think in speaking and in saying the things that are bothering you in particular, you will slowly start being able to release the shackles that, or the filters that you've placed on yourself based on society's needs.
So,
We've come to the end.
brilliant. I would just like to wrap all that up to say, let God be a guide. And if with every action or everything that you say, know that you would know, more importantly, you will always know in hindsight, in retrospect, whether what you said or what you did was coming from an honest, positive, and place of human kindness. And as long as you know that is where you were coming from, then
It don't matter.
everything else simply doesn't matter.
Correct.
So, a lot. I feel like I'm gonna go back and look back at this episode too.
Study it.
Yeah, study this one. A lot coming from here. So, thank you for listening. Thank you for viewing. Johanse, Brent, Niall. This has been another episode of Manhood. Authenticity. Be your authentic self.
Manhood, brought to you in part by Reboot Sports Drink.